Florida Maquis, in virtually every single one of your lead-ins to your videos, you talk about psychological operations training over at your Patreon channel. Yes, it's only $1, that's not very much, but why is it important? I already know who my enemy is. I already know that I don't agree with them and I never will. Why do I need the details of the tactics they're using to try to manipulate those around me? It's not going to work on me, so why does it matter? Well, think about it from a military standpoint. Every little detail, no matter how insignificant it seems, can be used as an asset to work back against your enemy and defeat them. Now, what if I told you this is exactly the tactic Governor DeSantis has used the last 3 to 4 years to literally reach the pinnacle of conservative power in this country? It's about the details. And if you would like to get read in on this, stick around. In today's video here on YouTube, we're going to talk about that, but even in more detail over at the Patreon channel. Once again, thank you to everyone who joins us here every single day. Whether you agree, whether you disagree, you're welcome. It is 14 December, Wednesday, 2022. It is 16:41 hours. That is 4:41 p.m. in the afternoon for those of you in the civilian world. Here on the northeast coast of Florida, we had a high today of 79.2 degrees. It's currently 72.5, and we'll have a low tonight of 64.9 degrees. Winds are light out of the southwest, 1.8 miles per hour. We had no precipitation to speak of, and the barometer is 29.96 and falling. Now, once again, love to have you at Patreon, $1 per month, even less if you sign up for an entire year. Fully refundable, first 90 days, no questions asked. Take the gloves off. With Vimeo, we can talk about things and we can expose the left. We can expose those who are using military-level psychological operations tactics to manipulate the minds of those around you, and you can point this out to them. Now, case in point, what if I told you this had everything to do with why Donald Trump is now fading into the background, fading into obscurity, and is losing in polls to Governor DeSantis? Florida Maquis, you're crazy. You've lost it. You've lost your mind. That is a picture of Mae West from the 1920s. What does it have to do with anything going on now? Well, Mae West was quoted as saying, "It's not what you say, but it's how you say it." You see, and there's a little bit more than that, too. You see, she went to jail. She went to jail for putting things out there that had never been put out there before, that were very, very lurid, and even by modern standards would be called into question. And she said some things that were incredibly, somewhat distasteful. I mean, you have to think about 1926. I am, and a lot of my audience is, what they technically call boomers. We're not from the baby boomer generation. We're their children. I'm in my early 50s. My grandparents were little tiny babies when Mae West was on stage. My grandparents were born in the early 20s. They would have been little toddlers when Mae West was saying, "It isn't what I do, it's how I do it. It isn't what I say, it's how I say it, and how I look when I do it and when I say it." See, she was jailed for indecency. They got 10 days, $500 fines, which at that time was a lot of money. 19 people in the cast were suspended. Court sees trial as vindication of city's morals. This was New York, I believe. Now, what does this have to do with anything? Well, what was Trump's big idea? MAGA, right? Make America great again. Well, doesn't that have read into it that there's some point in the past that Mr. Trump thought that we needed to return to? If I can go back 100 years, literally almost 100 years, to a time when my grandparents were just little toddlers, and you could see this, when is he talking about? And to give you an idea of this stage plot play, I guess you would call it. The title of it was just this, Sex. That was it. Played a character named Jane Wet Mast. All you need to know about this is the list of characters. You ready for this? Margie Lamont, prostitute. Rocky Waldron, a pimp. Manley, a thug. Curly, a pimp. Dawson, a corrupt officer of the law. Agnes, another prostitute. Red and Flossie, 2 more prostitutes. Jones, basically a John, a client. And then a host of others. This was on stage, which is basically Hollywood in the 1920s. And here's what you need to, this is the funniest part about this, is that it got horrible ratings, but got a ton of play. It got horrible ratings, but everybody went and saw it. Now, where is that part where they read everybody who was there? It's really hilarious. It played to full audiences. There were 375 performances before the New York Police Department raided West and her company in February of 1927. They were charged with obscenity after 325,000 people had watched it, including members of the police department and their wives, judges of the criminal courts, and 7 members of the district attorney's staff. West was sentenced to 10 days in a workhouse on Roosevelt Island, fined $500. But the publicity increased her national renown. Now, what does this have to do with anything? What does this have to do with anything? Ladies, you can help me out with this. 10% of conflicts that you have, whether it's with a mate or a spouse or whoever, are due to difference of opinion. But 90% of those conflicts are due to the wrong tone of voice. Are they or are they not? It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Now, all that having been 7 minutes led into, now let's look at this article. Trump is in trouble, says Insider, after DeSantis surges in 2024 polls. Now, a lot of people with the reason say, I don't trust those polls. Well, in the article, they talk about a couple of different polls that show DeSantis doing better but there's also others where Trump is still doing good. But the quote of the day, Republicans and conservative independents increasingly want Trumpism, meaning the ideas, without the man. They want the ideas without the man. Now, I've asked folks if you have the ability to on the Roku channel, it's free. There's a series called Colony. And ladies out there in my audience, help me out here. When there's a discussion or there's some type of a conflict in whether you and your husband or you and your ex or whoever, does it have more to do with the tone of voice or what's really being discussed? Guys, and I know a lot of you have learned this, especially older ones, you have to know how to talk to her. It's not what you say. It's 99% of the time the problem is how you say it. And that is what the difference is between Trump and DeSantis. They're literally saying the same thing. The guy on the right knows how. He knows the right tone of voice to use. He knows how to not come across as, well, like Donald. You see, and the reason I say, well, what does this have to do with, why does this have to do with Colony? This is homework. Watch this series, especially in season 1, part of season 2. This is her husband. This is the guy she's sneaking around with. She can lie to this guy right to his face. And it's even in the series. Even in the series, this guy's boss, who worked for the CIA, looked at this guy and said, you can't see it. Everybody else in the world can see it. She's lying right to your face, and because you're so ridiculously in love with her, you can't see it. But she never tried to lie to this guy. Didn't even try. Knew she couldn't get away with it. It's an amazing thing to see. Now, one of the reasons is that this guy doesn't know how to talk to her. They've got kids, they've got chemistry, but he doesn't know how to talk to her. He does. He knows how to look right through the bullshit and keep her honest. And that's really the root of it. Season 1, Season 2. I know Colony is about space aliens and survival and all this kind of stuff, but it's really about people. It is really about people, and it's not what you say, but how you say it. Another case. Now, this is where the media uses 3 different psychological operations at the same time, hoping nobody sees it. This is Vice. COVID vaccine refusers have 72% higher risk of serious traffic crash, study shows. Now, it's ridiculous, isn't it? What does one have to do with the other? Well, they went to Canada and they did this study, and it's basically what they call causation correlation. They took 2 things and put them together, and they, without actually saying that one causes the other, they try to make you believe one causes the other. Causation correlation means that 2 independent things have happened and people put 2 and 2 together. People walk outside, they look up in the sky and they see a plane with a little white streak behind it, and then later on that night they have a headache, and ergo, that was the reason. When it could have been a million other causation correlation. And you can do 1,000 reasons. I've been wearing a crystal necklace all winter and then fill in the blank. I've not slipped on the sidewalk ever. Ergo, crystal necklaces help me keep my balance. I've been wearing a crystal necklace all winter and my car has never failed to start even though it's been freezing cold. Ergo, crystal necklaces keep batteries from going bad. You can have any 2 things that you can tie together. Now, that by itself wouldn't work. What are the other 2, Maki? What are the other 2 things? Well, number 1, availability heuristic. Those who put out articles like that know that the vast majority of people on the internet only read a headline and maybe 1 paragraph. Maybe. That's it. It's called, and they will react to that basic thing. Just like here on YouTube, title and thumbnail. Title and thumbnail is 99% of YouTube. I know a lot of you look at my titles and think, was he gone crazy? What's 99% of getting your videos seen by anyone has to do with title and thumbnail. 99% of it has nothing to do with the content of the video. And the third thing, confirmation bias. Vice is aimed at liberals. Vice is a liberal rag. Vice promotes liberal ideas. Ergo, they know if they say something horrible like this to make people who refuse the vaccine, that all these horrible people, DeSantis supporting, GOP hellscape people, if they just throw the title out there, it's going to automatically get agreed with by a bunch of liberals. They're not going to look into it. They're not going to read the details of it. They're going to automatically agree with it. Ergo, just like this shows, I've heard the rhetoric from both sides. Time to do my own research. The first thing you find on Googie that agrees with you, and you'll say, okay, I have figured it out. Now, availability heuristic, confirmation bias, and correlation causation are all in the 24 cognitive biases and the 24 logical fallacies that we have been teaching for a year over at Patreon. For a year. They use these tactics. They use these techniques to get people to believe things that aren't true. Even in the article, they have to go all the way to the bottom, and they say the researchers here are careful to note the study shows no causal link between vaccine hesitancy and risky driving. The study shows no causal link between vaccine hesitancy and risky driving. What's the title say? COVID vaccine refusers have 70% higher risk of serious traffic crash. Study shows. Literally, the title says the exact opposite thing they say in the last paragraph. See what they did there? Do you see what they did there? This is PsyOps 101. That's just basically taking simple cognitive biases and logical fallacies and taking a hot button topic like that and literally being able to lie right through your teeth, as long as you put the disclaimer at the bottom. But it still has the effect. They know nobody's going to read the last paragraph. They know nobody reading this article is going to read the last paragraph. Why? Vice is aimed at liberals. They know liberals are going to automatically agree with it. They're going to read this first paragraph and go, aha, see, that's it. And then they're going to go to Googie, and then they're going to type in COVID vaccine refusers traffic crash, and they're going to see Vice and Yahoo and Frequent Business Traveler and Flipboard and Truth or Fiction. And they're going to see 5 or 6 top results that all say the same thing based on the same study. And they're going to say they've got their mind made up. Confirmation bias. Right there. And because top 5 results on Google and Vice, something they largely agree with, availability heuristic, they have the all truth. They know everything they need to know. So this is what I did in the military. Like I've said before, I was not a super soldier. I wasn't Force Recon. I wasn't Sniper. I wasn't Delta Force. I wasn't anything like that. I drove a desk, pushed a pencil, made a lot of slides. And my job was to literally get inside the brain of the person on the other side and think, why? Why would they do this? Why are they thinking what they're thinking? And then get 2 or 3 steps ahead of them. It wasn't my job to judge whether what they were thinking was right or wrong. It was just to determine what they were thinking. And then find a counter strategy to it. And this is just the first step. Once you know, it's 99% of it. And believe me, when you have to report to people that are way above your pay grade, and you have to convince them, especially in the military, don't use the wrong tone of voice. Because you get disagreed with a lot. If anyone wants to try to convince me that 100 years ago things were so much more moral in this country, I would ask them to explain Mae West. I mean, literally the title of the play was sex. Literally the title of the play. And it was about prostitutes and a girl being offered as payment for hush money for a guy that committed a murder, and a cop was covering it up. This just 1920. 1920s. Look it up. Save a boyfriend for a rainy day and another in case it doesn't rain. Really. This was the morality of the 1920s. So, I will leave it there. But, pardon me. Thank you, everyone who has continued to join us at the Patreon channel. Would love to have more of you. There's more content just like that. So, God bless. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.